Hello, hello. It is Wednesday, November 25th. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I am Kenny Polcari, your host of the party. Everything you need to know about the markets. What happened yesterday, what's happening today. So, in fact, Joey made good on his promise to release oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. But what's oil doing this morning? Going higher. Oil prices are rising, so think OPEC plus. NASDAQ continues to reprice, yields, 10-year yields rise, and the dollar advances. Again, all suggesting higher rates to come. And so what are we doing for dinner? Well, we're going to have the Italian wedding soup for the first course of Thanksgiving, just in case you don't want the wraps that I gave you the other day. So stocks once again ended the day mixed, right? The Dow gaining 195 points. The S&P was up 8. The Russell was down 4. The transports added another 135. Economic data yesterday revealed manufacturing PMIs came in as expected, while services PMI was a little bit weaker than expected, and that's kind of a warning signal. NASDAQ names, think high tech, right, continues to come under pressure as investors digest what is now expected to be a change in monetary policy. Now look, the Fed's going to tell you, no, it isn't, no need to get worried, yet the market is appearing to tell us something different. The NASDAQ index is off about 3% in the past couple of days. Not a reason to set the place on fire at all, because it's still up 23% year to date. But it is a reason to pay attention to what is happening around you and what is happening to specific stocks in the index. While the index is only up 3%, you got to think Amazon down 6%, Tesla down 11%, Cathie Woods' ARK ETF down 17%, Coinbase down 15%, Shopify lost 13%. All this happening in the past week or so. So do you see a pattern here? Yesterday, I pointed out that on Monday, there were 700 stocks between New York and NASDAQ making new lows versus 330 stocks making new highs, suggesting that maybe the repricing is already underway. Were investors reacting to what you think is going to change in policy, right? I would say yes. I mean, look, it's not a secret. Tapering has begun. There's even a risk of increasing the pace of the tapering to allow the Fed to consider raising rates to combat surging inflation ahead of schedule, right? Inflation that the administration wants you to believe is still transitory. I don't think so. Okay, in any event, the schedule currently suggests that the tapering is going to end in June, right? June of 2022, leaving the Fed to decide then what's next for rates, if anything, right? They keep telling you, no, don't worry, yet the market's telling you rates are going up in July. But the whisper is that in the new year, the narrative is going to change. That Jay, now that he's been reappointed, is suddenly going to talk about how the economy is beginning to boil over, sending prices higher, and that is going to demand that they react, or at least it should demand that they react. And this is a developing story, so sit tight because you're going to hear more about this in the months ahead. Then yesterday, guess what? Joey, he makes good on his promise to do something about the price of oil, letting consumers know that he's on top of it. The U.S., along with India, Japan, the U.K., China, and South Korea, have all banded together to release oil from their respective SPRs, right? Strategic Petroleum Reserves, to try and bring down the price of gas and oil at the pump as we move into the holiday season. Okay, great. The U.S. is going to release 50 million barrels over a period of weeks. Wonderful. We burn 18 million barrels a day. So tell me exactly what 50 million barrels is really going to do in the long term? In fact, Energy Secretary Jenny Granholm, former governor of Michigan, when asked by a reporter, had no idea what the U.S. consumes daily. Never mind what the release would mean for U.S. consumers. She said she didn't have that data available to her. Mind-boggling. Goldman Sachs even came out and said it was a drop in the ocean, that this release may be worth less than $2 a barrel for about a day or two. And then, well, you figure it out, right? Because I'm just not sure what the economic administration team thought was going to happen. And I bet you they didn't consider what the OPEC response was going to be, because if they did, maybe they would have thought twice. You see, while the price of oil has come down 10% prior to this announcement, trading as low as $75.50 a barrel, kind of in anticipation of this announcement, yesterday it rallied post the announcement, right? And today it's up another 0.5%, trading at $79 a barrel. And now that's above the trendline resistance, which was 78.11. So now it's on the north side of resistance. So now that resistance becomes support. And that's setting up for a run to the October highs of $83 a barrel. Why? Well, I told you this yesterday as well. the OPEC Plus response is, okay, boys, no worries. We can cut production to offset this new supply in order to maintain prices and price control. And in fact, they're meeting next week, and this is exactly what the market is expecting to hear, because it has been, as well, fairly well telegraphed. So don't expect prices at the pump to fall very much at all anytime soon. I'm kind of thinking that maybe Joey should consider a change in energy policy. Maybe that would help. I don't know. What do you think? Recall, the U.S. was the swing producer under the prior administration. We were the nation driving the price of global oil. We were a net exporter of oil. I mean, imagine that. Yields on the 10-year rose to end the day at 1.677% yesterday. The dollar rallied strongly, is now trading at 96.70, up 3.8% since the end of October, after breaking out of what was that resistance at 94.5. And remember, as it was doing that, I told you that oil was going to, the dollar was going to make a run towards 98. And it looks like that's exactly what's happening, right? The idea that the U.S. tapering is on track and that rates are set to rise soon thereafter is a positive for the U.S. dollar. And that is what the action is telling you. There's a slew of economic data today. None of it is expected to be a directional driver at all, except for maybe the FOMC minutes from the November meeting. Investors are going to be perusing the report to see if they're going to see if they can glean anything, any line, any language, any word that maybe will give them some clue on what the Fed think is. Maybe something Jay isn't saying. U.S. futures this morning are down. The Dow's off triple digits, 150. S&P's down 17. Nasdaq's off 60. The Russell's down 20. Nordstrom's, Gap, Best Buy, all getting creamed this morning. Down 23% and 16% and 16% respectively, after reporting misses in their earnings reports. Think supply chain. Yet they tell us that this is the strongest shopping season in years. So it's a little bit illogical, or maybe people are just not shopping at those stores. I guess it must be an online thing, right? So people are shopping online, or I don't know, Nordstrom's are saying they can't get women's clothing, and can't get women's shoes, and whatever. In Europe, markets across the region are also lower, between about 1/3% and 0.5%. This as more countries consider new restrictions and lockdowns to curb new rising COVID cases, right? IHS Markit Composite PMI came in at 55.8, which was much better than the expected 53.2. So that's a positive, yet the markets are all lower. Bitcoin's trading at 56,700. Ethereum's trading at 4,300, which is up a little bit. And two new ones that have attracted my attention. Chainlink, LINK, is trading at 27.14, while Avalanche, AVAX, is trading at 127.70. The S&P closed last night at 46.90 after trading in a 20-point range yesterday, 46.78 to 46.99. We still remain in that 46.30, 47.30 trading channel. And, you know, between today and Friday, I don't think that we're really breaking out of that at all. So just sit tight. Remember, you can text the word INVEST to 21,000 on your cell phone to get my digital business card. Feel free to download it. Send me off an email or a text. Give me a call. I'm always happy to engage and talk markets, planning, thoughts, concerns, ideas, whatever's on your mind. You can follow me on Twitter and TikTok at Kenny Polcari is my handle, or on Instagram at KennyP1961. Okay, so what's for dinner? Well, here's another option for you in case you don't want the raviolis that I gave you yesterday as a starter course for Thanksgiving. It's the Italian wedding soup, right? It's easy to make. It's good. It's not nearly as filling as a ravioli, so maybe this is a good choice for you, right? It's full of vegetables and tiny veal meatballs. It's really a family favorite, and it's like a holiday favorite, right? So for this, you're going to need a couple of things, right? For the meatballs, you need 1 pound of ground veal. You need chopped parsley leaves. You need freshly grated pecorino romano cheese, or freshly grated Parmesan, one or the other. You need 1 large egg, lightly beaten. You need salt and pepper, right? Very simple. For the soup, you're going to need olive oil. You're going to need diced onion, carrots, and celery. You're going to need chicken stock. Certainly canned is okay, but homemade chicken soup is better. Once you strain it, just use the broth from the homemade chicken soup if you have it. If not, chicken stock is okay. You need a 1/2 cup of dry white wine. You need 1 cup of tubettini, which is the small sauce pasta. You need fresh baby spinach that's been washed and trimmed, right? And just dried a little bit. You want to preheat your oven at 350 degrees. Now you're going to take the meatballs. You're going to put the ground veal, the parsley, the cheese, salt and pepper in a bowl with the egg. You're going to combine it, mix it, and combine it. Now with a teaspoon, drop 1 to 1 1/4 inch meatballs onto a sheet pan. So you're going to make the small meatballs, not big meatballs, small meatballs, or bite size. You should end up with about 30 or 40 meatballs, right? They don't have to be perfectly round. Just put them on the sheet and put them in the oven, right? And let them bake for, 20, 25 minutes. In the meantime, for the soup, put the olive oil over medium-low heat. Add the onions, the carrots, the celery. Saute until softened, maybe 6 to 8 minutes. You want to stir it occasionally. Now you're going to add the chicken stock. So add a whole thing, maybe two things of chicken stock, depends how many people you have for dinner. Add the cup of wine, bring it to a boil, and then turn it down to simmer for about 30 minutes. Now you're going to add the pasta to the simmering broth. You're going to cook it until it's done, probably 6 to 8 minutes, right? But remember, the pasta will grow and it sucks up the soup. So make sure you have enough extra broth if you need it. If you see it sucking up the soup, you don't want it to suck up the soup. Or just use less of the pasta. But again, depends on how many people you have. Now, take the meatballs out of the oven. You'll put the meatballs right in the soup. Let them sit in there for a minute or so it gets the flavor of the veal meatballs. You're going to add the fresh spinach, right? Just uncooked spinach. Add it right to the soup. Stir it around. The spinach wilts. And then you're going to serve it, right? That's it. It's a great soup, and it's great for the holidays. Anyway, you want to serve it. You want to make sure everybody gets, 2 to 3 meatballs, again, depending on how many people you have for dinner. But you should plan on everyone getting like 2 or 3 meatballs, because remember, the meatballs are really tiny, right? You just pop them in your mouth. They're just tiny. So you don't have a ton of them, but you want to just get 1 meatball. And that's it, because then there's plenty of food afterwards, right? There's the turkey and the vegetables. So this is not the only thing you're having for dinner, but you want to have enough where everyone gets a taste. And always make sure you got fresh grated cheese on your table for people to add to the soup, because there's nothing like this soup with a tablespoon of fresh grated, either a Pecorino Romano or the Parmesan. Whatever you have works fine. Don't let anybody tell you any differently. It's great. In any event, it is Thanksgiving. Tomorrow's a holiday. Friday's going to be half a day. I'll probably see you on Monday. You can find me on Friday morning on Stuart Varney on Fox Business at 9 o'clock. I actually think it's on 10 o'clock this week. So you'll see me there. In any event, have a great Thanksgiving. Stay well and take good care.